So for today's video discussion, we will tackle about Chapter 5, which is all about disbursement. So in this chapter, aalamin natin yung main concept ng disbursement ng isang government agency. So malalaman natin paano ba siya tinidisburse. Aside from that, malalaman din natin kung ano ba yung modes of disbursement and paano ba ina-account yung disbursement. So to start a discussion, first, let's define what is disbursement. So sabi nila, disbursement constitute all payments in cash in whatever manner, in essence, cash, check, or cashless payments. Tapos, sabi din nila, disbursements daw should be supported by disbursement vouchers, including petty cash vouchers or payroll. So, remind ko lang, pag sinabing in whatever manner, ibig sabihin lang nun is iba't ibang mode of disbursement. So, pwedeng yung si government agency, pwede siyang mag-disburse through cash, pwede rin through check, kaya pwede rin sa tawag natin cashless payments. So, this mode of disbursement will be further discussed later. Okay, so since we already know what disbursement is, let's now determine the fundamental principles for both for disbursement for public funds or resources. So, di ba, naalala nyo, last discussion natin, chapter 4, di ba, discuss din natin, meron din fundamental principles yung revenue. And note ko lang, yung fundamental principles for both revenue and disbursement are written or nakalagay siya sa Presidential Decree 1445, which is known as Government Accounting Code of the Philippines. Tapos, these fundamental principles, ito yung parang dito, sinasabi nila kung paano ba dapat i-account o paano ba ginagawa kapag nagre-record ng revenue and disbursement. So, yung first fundamental principles for disbursement is all government resources shall be used only in accordance with the law and only for public purposes. So, reminder lang ulit, pag sinabing in accordance with law, ibig sabihin nun is in accordance siya with the GAA. And if wala siya sa GAA, then di ka pwedeng mag-disburse. Kasi nga, di ba kailangan in accordance with the law yung pag-disburse ng isang government agency. Ma'am, what if walang nakalagay sa GAA yung, what if hindi nakalagay sa GAA yung disbursement? Illegal na ba siya agad? The answer is no. Kasi first, let's check muna natin ba merong supplemental appropriations. And ano ba yung supplemental appropriations? Di ba? Remember, dinipay natin siya sa datating discussion as additional appropriations authorized by law to augment the original appropriations, which proved to be insufficient for their intended purpose due to economic, political, or social conditions supported by a certification of availability of funds from the ATR. Ma'am, paano if hindi naman po, parang wala naman pong supplemental appropriations, tapos hindi rin nakalagay sa GAA, so pwede natin sabihin na illegal yung disbursement? The answer is no, kasi pwede pa rin siyang pumasok as realignment. So, paano ba yung concept ng realignment? So, ganito siya. For example, si expenditure A, yung budgeted na amount sa kanya is, sabi natin 30,000 for the year, 30,000. 30 million for the year na yon. Kaya lang, parang third quarter pa lang, halos na-exhaust na lahat ng 30 million. Tapos, meron din namang, si expenditure P, meron siyang budgeted amount na 150 million. And during third quarter, ang nagagastos pa lang sa expenditure na yon is, sabihin natin is 100 million. Meron pa natitirang 50 million. And based sa estimate nila, parang nasa 20 million lang yung magagastos sa last quarter. So, ibig sabihin, may sasobra pang 30 million. So, dahil may sasobra, ang mangyayari is i-re-realign yung budget. So, yung 30 million, pwede siyang ibigay dun sa expenditure A. If kailangan talaga. Kasi nga, parang kulang na nga and may kailangan pang gastusin or may kailangan pang bilhin pertaining sa expenditure A. So, kaya kailangan pa ng budget. So, ganun yung realignment. And note ko lang, kapag sinabi natin realignment, kailangan may approval siya. So, di pwede, basta nakita lang rin, sumobra yung sumobrang 30 million si expenditure B, ilipat na natin kung 30 million doon sa expenditure A para may panggastos pa tayo para sa expenditure A. So, hindi pwedeng ganun lang. Kailangan merong approval na ililipat nga or i-reallocate yung funds, yung sobrang funds from expenditure A to expenditure, from expenditure B to expenditure A. So, kunwari, wala naman sa, diba, wala sa GAA. Tapos, chinek na natin yung supplemental appropriations, wala naman. Tapos, chinek din natin kung may realignment. Tapos, wala pa rin. So, dito, pwede natin sabihin na illegal yung disbursement. Kasi nga, hindi siya nakalagay sa GAA. Tapos, sinabi din, di ba, dapat all government resources should be used only for public purposes. So, always remember na di porket binigay sa agency nyo, o di porket binigay sa government agency, yung fund or resources, gagastusin siya or gagamitin siya on your own discretion. So, dapat, una sa lahat, align siya sa budget, sa approved budget, and dapat, yung paggagamitan ng pera na yun is for the public purposes. So next fundamental principle is trust funds shall be used only for their specific purpose. So yung parang based ulit sa previous discussion natin, dinefine yung trust fund as fund held by a government agency or public officers acting as trustee, agent, or administrator for the fulfillment of a condition. So, yung concept kasi ng trust fund is ganda siya. May donor, pwedeng may donor, magbibigay siya o magdodonate siya ng pera sa government natin. And sabi niya, kung binigay ko itong pera, is gagamitin mo lang to for the specific purpose na sasabihin ko sa'yo kung anong purpose, sasabihin ko sa'yo na, parang gagamitin mo lang siya sa specific purpose o sa condition na sinabi ko sa iyo na kailangan mo paggastusan ng perang binigay ko sa iyo. So example, kunwari may donors, may donor, nag-donate siya ng pera sa government natin and sabi ni donor, gagamitin niya yung pera as a scholarship ng senior high. So dahil doon, ang ginawa ni government, parang yung pera na yun, binigay siya sa DepEd. And DepEd, siya yung magiging trustee or tagahawak ng perang dinonate ni donor. And gagastusin lang niya yun for the purpose na yun. So, ganun yung concept ng trust fund. So, parang, parang example pa tayo para mas naiintindihan natin siya. So, kunwari, yung magulang ko, yung mami ko, binigyan niya ako ng 5,000. And sabi niya, itong pera na to, itong 5,000 na to, gagastusin mo lang yan, pambili ng damit ko. Tapos, parang yung 5,000 na yun, itatago mo muna, pero hindi mo siya pwedeng gagastusin sa ibang bagay. So yung 5,000 ba na yun is pera ko? The answer is no. Pera pa rin siya ng mami ko. Pero nasa akin yung pera kasi ako yung tagahawak. And gagastusin ko lang yung 5,000 na yun gagastusin ko lang yun pambili ng damit kasi nga parang yun yung purpose kung bakit ako binigyan ng 5,000. So ganun yung concept ng trust fund. Kaya sabi, yung trust fund dapat gagastusin mo lang siya only for their specific purpose. Kasi hindi naman talaga siya di mo talaga siya pera. Pinahawak lang siya sa iyo. Next, so yung third fundamental principles for disbursement is fiscal responsibility should be strictly shared by all those exercising authority over a government agency. So remember, the first discussion natin, di ba sinabi doon yung mga responsible over over government funds and property. And yung isang responsibility doon is all those who are exercising authority over a government agency should share fiscal responsibility. So, paano ba siya? So, di ba mayroong head of agency which is primarily responsible sa government resources. Pero hindi ibig sabihin doon, siya na gagawa ng lahat ng tasks. So, mayroong certain officer na pipirma for approval. Tapos, mayroong officer din na mag-check if in accordance ba yung disbursement or expenditure sa budget for the year. Tapos, meron ding officer na magsasign to certify na they actually in need or kailangan nila talaga yung transaction. So, in short, parang siya certify yung validity ng disbursement. So, dito makikita natin, di ba, na yung responsibility is shared among them. So next, the fundamental principle is the use of government resources should be approved by proper officials. So hindi pwede lumabas yung disbursement na isa lang yung nakapirma. So kailangan makita sa voucher yung mga required and authorized signatures or yung mga required na authorized signatory. So these requirements or certification will be discussed later. So next, the fundamental principle is claims against government funds should be supported with complete documentation. So in terms of complete documentation, yung documents is depende siya sa kung anong klaseng disbursement. Kung ano yung klase ng disbursement. So for example, yung disbursement natin is pertain siya sa long-term construction ng sabi natin bridges, ganun. Siyempre, yung support nun will be contract. First of all, contract between yung government agency tsaka yung gagawa o yung magko-construct. Tapos, pwede rin yung mga invoice o yung mga billing statement for the billing. So, syempre, lalo na kung hindi one time yung pag-construct, di ba? Parang every year, parang ano siya, may progress payment. So, per progress, merong binibill yung yung third party sa government, and yung invoice na ibibigay ng third party na yon or nung construction company is proof na yon or documentation na yon na valid talaga yung disbursement. Ma'am, what if kulang sa supports and kulang yung supports or yung documentation ng isang disbursement? So pag ganun, hindi siya ipaprocess kasi nga, di ba sabi nga dito, kailangan yung claims must be supported with complete documentation. So bakit ba kailangan na complete documentation or kailangan complete yung supports or kailangan merong supporting documents? So ginagawa lang naman yun just to ensure na valid talaga yung disbursement. And yung funds or resources is nagagamit siya sa expenditure na kailangang gastusan. Next and last na fundamental principles for disbursement is all laws and regulations applicable to financial transactions should be faithfully adhered to, including generally accepted principles and practices of accounting, management, and fiscal administration, provided that they do not contravene existing laws and regulations. So kung merong standard or regulation specific for that expense, then yun yung susundin or i-apply natin. So, pero note ko lang, it should not intervene with the existing laws and regulations. So, yung order of priority is law with the highest priority, then regulation, then yung last is yung standard. So, bigay tayo ng sample. So, kunwari, di ba, sa pag-record ng PPE, sabihin natin, sa standard, di ba, yung subsequent measurement na is either cost model or revaluation model. Tapos, nag-release, parang nung nire-record natin or parang nire-record na natin yung subsequent. Parang during that year din, parang nag-release si COA ng regulation and sinabi doon na cost model lang yung pwedeng gamitin for subsequent measurement ng PPE. So, you as a government, as an employee of that government agency, pag ni-record mo yung subsequent measurement ng PPE, gagamitin mo lang is cost model. Kasi parang mas pabigat yung regulation kaysa dun sa standard. So, mas susundin mo yung regulation. So, these are the fundamental principles of disbursement. So, syempre, yung reason kung bakit natin malaman yung reason bakit kailangan natin malaman yung mga fundamental principles ng disbursement is dahil kapag nag-work na tayo sa government, Bali, ito yung magsasabi sa atin, parang, parang ito yung standard, ganun, na ganito yung way. So, kailangan ganito yung gawin mo para bago tayo mag-disperse. So, parang ito yung parang standard para malaman natin kung paano ba yung tamang way or paano ba tayo magre-record ng disbursement. So, next is disbursement authority. So, di ba, this was tackled in our previous discussion nung discuss natin chapter 2. So, sige, before tayo mag-proceed, let's have a recap. So, di ba, remember, meron tayong 4 na phases. So, yung 4 na phases ng budget cycle is budget preparation first, second, budget legislation, then after that, we'll proceed to budget execution, and lastly, meron tayong tanong na budget accountability. And under budget execution phase, di ba, mag-i-start siya sa pag-release ng guidelines. Si BBM. So, kapag nag-release, yung pag-release ng guidelines ni BBM, di ba yung pag-release ng guidelines si BBM, so nakalagay doon yung paano yung nakalagay doon yung paano yung utilization ng funds. Then after nun is bibigyan na ni DBM yung government agency ng authority na mag-incur ng obligation. So ang tawag doon is allotment. Allotment yung tawag sa authority na mag-incur ng obligations. And then kapag meron ng nag-release na ng allotment, BBM, then may authority na mag-incur ng obligation si government agency. Then authority na siya, pwede na siya makipagkontrata sa third party, like yung mga suppliers, ay mga contractors, mga ganon. Then okay na, may kontrata na. So ano na susunod? So dahil may kontrata na tayo, tapos kunya nagawa na, then kailangan natin siyang bayaran. And dahil hindi natin bayaran, kailangan ni government agency ng pambayad. And paano siya magkakaroon? Dito na papasok si disbursement authority. So, yung disbursement authority, bibigyan na ni DBM si government agency na mag-disburse and mag-release sila ng mga following documents. So, sa discussion natin ng chapter 2, sabi siya ng 4. Diba? NCA, NCAA, NTA, and CDC. So, tapos, dito, idadagdag natin si TRA or yung Tax Remittance Advice. So, let's start with NCA or Notice of Cash Allocation. So, define ulit natin yung NCA kahit sobrang alam na siguro yung NCA. Ano ba yun? Wait lang. So, yung NCA, ito yung authority issued by the DBM to central, regional, and provincial offices and operating units to cover their cash requirements. So, ito yung, di ba, ito yung matatanggap ng government agency. So, parang ito yung pinaka-common. Ibig sabihin, kapag nakatanggap ng NCA, si government agency, then meron na siyang pera na pang-disburse dun sa mga obligations na na-incur niya. So, yung entry, cash, MDS, regular, debit, credit, subsidy from national government. So, kapag naman special account in the general fund, so, ano lang, cash MDS, then it will be special account instead na regular. Tapos, yung kanyang credit will be cash, treasury, agency deposit, or special account. So, hindi siya mag-credit sa subsidy from national government. So, yung almost same lang naman yung entry kapag yung nakatanggap ng receipt ng NCA kapag special account and pag trust receipts fund. So, nabago lang is yung cash MDS system. Kasi sa special account, it will be cash MDS special account, and kapag naman trust fund or trust receipt fund, then yung i-debit natin is cash MDS system trust. Next na nire-release is yung tatawag nating NTA or Notice of Transfer of Allocation. So this is the authority issued by an agency's central office to its regional and operating units to cover the latter's cash requirement. So if ever na kunwari may kinulang sa pera yung regional or operating units, then gagawin ni central unit, magpapadala siya o mag-transfer siya ng pera dun sa regional or operating unit. So yung entry nun will be like this. So di ba under the book ni central office, kapag nag-transfer ng allocation from central office to regional office to NTA, it will be parang reverse yung NCA na tanggap niya. So it will be subsidy from national government debit, credit, national treasury, or MDS. Tapos kapag naman si regional office, kapag natanggap naman niya yung pera, so as if nakatanggap siya ng NCA from DBM. Pero in essence, natanggap lang talaga niya yun sa central office. So yung entry niya will be cash, National Treasury, MDS, tapos credit, subsidy, income from national government. Tapos kapag naman transfer of allocation from RO to regional office to operating unit through NTA, then same lang din naman ng entry. So ang sabok naman ni regional office, magde-debit siya ng subsidy, income from national government, then credit, cash, national treasury, MDS. Then sabok ni operating unit, magre-record siya ng entry ng as if naka-receive siya ng NCA from the DBM. Pero yung pera na yun is na-receive lang niya galing kay regional office. So they will record cash, national treasury, MDS debit, credit, subsidy, income from national government. Next will be wait. So tax remittance advice. So since yung NCA is net up tax siya, so yung pambayad sa tax is hindi siya nagagaling sa NCA. So paano tayo magbabayad ng tax? So it will be through TRA or tax remittance advice. And it was tackled during chapter 3. Diba, discuss natin, inelaborate natin yung TRA or yung tax remittance advice. Tapos it was also tackled during discussion for chapter 4. So, diba, yung TRA, ano siya, parang constructive receipt. As if may langgap tayong cash na para lang pambayad sa taxes, pero in essence, wala talaga. So, kapag tinignan yung entry sa NGA, it will be cash, tax remittance advice, debit, credit, subsidy from national government. Tapos, kapag niremit niya yun, debit due to BIR, credit, cash, tax remittance advice. So, makakancel out lang yung cash. Wala nung kapag nag-record tayo ng constructive receipt, ng NCA, tsaka kapag nag-remit tayo sa BIR. So parang ipasasamahin natin yung entries para lang siyang due to BIR, debit, credit to subsidy from national government. Kasi wala naman talagang physical transfer ng cash. Okay. Ano lang siya, as if meron tayong pera, pero wala talaga. And since discuss naman natin to in our previous discussion, ang nilagay ko lang entry is yung entry na ginagawa ni NGA. So, hindi ko na in-include yung entry sa books ni BIR at saka ni Bureau of Treasury. Pero, kapag tingin BIR, basta matanggap lang ni BIR yung TRA, then magre-record na siya ng income. So, next is yung tinatawag natin non-cash availment authority. Non-cash availment authority, it is the authority issued by the DBM to agencies to cover the liquidation of their actual obligations incurred against available allotments for availment of proceeds from loans or grants through suppliers' credit or constructive cash. So, di ba, ang concept ng NCAA is Kunwari, tayo yung nakipag-transact, pero si BTR yung magbabayad ang behalf natin. So, tinatawag yung non-cash or disbursement through non-cash availment authority, tinatawag siyang disbursement through NCAA. Tinatawag siyang direct payment method or direct scheme of loan availment. Kasi nga, parang instead na tayo magbabayad, parang si BTR, iba, kasi di ba dapat mangyayari doon, si BTR bibigyan tayo ng pera, tapos tayo magbabayad kay supplier or kay third party na nakatransact natin. Pero through non-cash availment authority, si BTR, di na tayo bibigyan ng pera. So si BTR, siya na mismo magbabayad kay supplier or kay third party na nakatransact natin. And to record this disbursement, i-record siya through journal entry voucher issued by the Bureau of Treasury to the agency para ma-record yung payment of goods and services. So itong journal entry voucher will be recorded in the general journal. So yung entry niya will be debit accounts payable, credit subsidy from national government. And again, ipo-point out ko ulit, kaya naka-debit siya sa accounts payable kasi nga di mo tayo nakatanggap ng pera. So, kapag through non-cash availment authority, may extinguish lang yung payable natin kasi nga si BTR na yung magbabayad ang behalf natin. Next and last is yung tatawag natin CDC or cash disbursement ceiling. So, cash disbursement ceiling is the authority issued by the DBM to agencies with foreign operations. Give an example, Department of Foreign Affairs. So allowing them to use the income collected by their foreign service post to cover their operating requirements. So ginagamit siya ng mga government agency na may foreign post or office. So yung concept niya, yung income na may earn sa mga foreign office na to is pwede natin siyang gamitin for our operations. Pero note ko lang, may limit yun. So kunwari, sinabi or nakalagay sa GAA na 20% lang ng 20% ng na-earn natin, yung na-earn sa foreign office is pwede na lang gamitin for their operations. Eh ma'am, kung 20% lang, ano pa mangyayari sa 80%? Then yung 80%, i-remit siya sa treasury. Kasi nga, di ba nga, sabi sa PD 1445, during a discussion in revenue, during sa discussion natin ng revenue, lahat ng revenues na makukolekta should be remitted unless stated sa law na hindi lahat is i-remit. I always remember that. So, yung entry niya, so entry niya is, di ba kapag nag-recognize tayo ng so yung entry niya will be cash collecting officers, debit, credit, passport, and visa fees. Kapag ito yung pag magkakolekta tayo ng revenue. Tapos, to recognize naman deposit of collections to authorize servicing bank. So, debit, cash in bank, foreign currency, credit, current account, cash collecting officers. And kapag na-receive na natin CDC from DBM, yung magiging entry will be cash, constructive income remittance, debit, credit, subsidy from national government. So, yung further discussion regarding CDC is during discussion ng Chapter 4, which is revenue. So, di ko na siya further discuss. Okay, next is yung basic requirements and certifications for disbursement. So, di ba nag-issue na si DBM ng Disbursement Authority. So, may pera na tayo. And dahil may pera na tayo, pwede na tayo mag-disburse. And syempre, yung disbursement, may process yun. Di siya basta na bigyan ka ng pera, pwede mo na siyang gastusin agad. Hindi ganun. So, may process yun. And marami siyang pagdadaanan. So, ano ba yung mga basic requirements and certifications for disbursement? So, merong 4 na taong involved. Yung 4 na tao na to is si first, si budget officer, second, yung chief accountant, third, yung head of the requesting unit, and lastly is yung si head of agency. So, first dun tayo sa budgeting officer o yung head of budget unit. So, head of budget unit o yung budgeting officer, siya yung nagsacertify ng availability ng allotment. So, once ma-certify niya na may once ma-certify ni budgeting officer na may availability allotment, then ang susunod ng gagalaw is si chief accountant o yung head of accounting unit. So, yung chief accountant naman, siya naman nag-charge ng obligations against available allotment. So, bakit to ginagawa? Ginagawa to para ma-ensure na walang overdraft na mangyayari. Paano po ba magkakaroon ng overdraft? So, paano po ba nasasabi na may overdraft na nangyari? So, if in-incur mo obligations is nag-exceed siya sa allotment, then meron ng incurrence ng overdraft. So, always remember, incurrence of overdraft is prohibited. Okay, so di ba si chief accountant, dito na niya, i-charge niya yung obligations against available allotment. Tapos, si chief accountant, siya din yung magsicertify ng availability ng funds or cash and yung completeness ng mga supporting documents bago niya dalhin sa head of agency or any authorized representative. So, lahat ng disbursement na may certification ni chief accountant before siya mag-certify, before niya i-certify yun, kailangan niya makita yung mga supporting documents. Parang, in essence, siya yung reviewer na tinatawag natin. Bale, i-verify niya, i-review niya, and kailangan niya i-check kung valid ba and existing talaga yung government na ipinasa sa kanya o yung disbursement na pinapa-approve sa kanya. So, what if may sinertify si chief accountant na disbursement based sa fictitious obligation? So, ano mangyayari? So, pag ganun, ang mangyayari is madidismiss si chief accountant sa trabaho niya as a chief accountant. And at the same time, ano siya, criminally liable. Tapos, hindi lang si chief accountant yung liable doon. So, pati na rin yung mga ibang officer na involved is criminally liable din. So, bakit ba masyadong maigpit? Kasi nga, yung certifications for fictitious obligation is void. So, kaya lahat ng certifications kailangan nakabase siya sa valid and properly authorized na claim. Kaya bago i-check, kailangan munang makita yung lahat ng supporting documents bago siya i-certify ni chief accountant. Kasi once na may makalusot lang doon, then liable na siya. Kasi parang as if ba't meron kang sinertify, parang wala pa lang wala tong supporting documents. Kunyari, merong disbursement amounting to 10,000. Tapos nakita yung disbursement voucher, may pirma siya ni chief accountant. Pero, kung tinitingnan, wala naman yung parang sabihin invoice na magsusupport dun sa 10,000 na disbursement. Then, mangyayari dun is liable na si chief accountant. So, yung mahirap yung trabaho ng reviewer or yung kasi kailangan nilang i-ensure na lahat talaga ng isi-certify nila is valid. So next is si head of requesting unit. So si head of requesting unit, sila yung nagsicertify ng necessity at legality of disbursement. So pero bago niya i-certify yun, need i-ensure ng requesting and approving officials na yung mga disbursement are legal and conform to applicable rules and regulations. So yung payment should be made to disbursement vouchers or payroll and supported by the original copies of supporting documents. And then, after ma-certify yung necessity and legality ng disbursement, ipapasa na siya sa head of agency or yung authorized representative in case na wala si head of agency para i-approve yung mga disbursement voucher or payrolls. So, nakikita natin na per process may authorized person na mag-approve or mag-certify nun. So, minsan pa pwede rin may iba't ibang approval authority kada amount. So, paano siya? Paano ba yung nangyayari? So, example, may disbursement amounting to 5,000. Tapos, yung mga disbursement amounting to below 5,000, si ganitong official yung mag-certify or mag-approve. Tapos kapag naman yung amount is above 5,000 pero below 10,000, so si ganitong official na mas mataas yung position o yung rank kaysa kaninang si official A, for example, siya yung mag-certify or mag-approve nun. So, parang ang nangyayari, habang tumataas yung amount, tumataas din yung position nung nag-approve or nasa-certify. So, bakit ba nila ginagawa to? So, bakit ba may ganito? Merong basic requirements and certification pagdating sa disbursement. So, yung reason kung bakit nila ginagawa to, is same lang din naman sa business entity. So, ginagawa nila yon as a control to ensure na yung mga valid na disbursement lang yung ma-approve. Kasi nga, siyempre, pera to ng government. And di siya basta-basta di siya pwedeng basta-basta gastusin. Next will be mode of disbursement. Pero before I proceed, I'll cut the video discussion. So, didiscuss ko yung mode of disbursement, pati yung natitira pang discussion regarding sa disbursement in the part 2 ng discussion.